Hello, everyone. Hello. We're going live. I'm just trying to figure out this technical stuff. Hello, everyone. Hello. 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 Thank you for joining in. How is everyone doing? Hello. Hi, Tolu. I'm going to call you in a minute. I'm just trying to... Hi, Tolu.
Hi, how are you doing, Sumi?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to see you.
Same here.
Great, great,
How are
great.
you doing? How's your weekend coming along?
It's going okay, we thank God.
That's
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone can hear us. Sound is good. You can see us as well.
Yeah, is the sound good on my end?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I
Is
just
mine
wanted to make
good?
sure mine wasn't bouncing back.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay, great.
And mine is good too, right? Hi, Sando. Hello.
I don't know if you want to pin the topic.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to do, but for some reason I can't seem to figure it out. I
I
was
think,
having some issues getting
uh,
on. I was trying to put in some um the title, but it wasn't letting me in. Do you think
mm,
I have to we have to go out and start again to pin
I don't know,
the
you can try post the comment and try to pin it from there. That's what I tried to do.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me do
Yeah.
that. Bear with us, guys. Sorry.
Hi, we're just trying to set this up. I just think for people that are joining in, so they
Yes.
just wonder what's happening.
Sorry, guys. Um, okay. Okay. Um, okay, right. Hello, everyone. Just trying to paint some things. Sorry, bear with us, guys. And also giving time for people to join in.
Yeah.
Whew.
Have you been able to do that?
Yes, so,
Okay, yeah. So you can just pin that now that comment is there. You just tap on it and you hold
yes,
it in.
great.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we did
Yay.
it.
With technology sometimes.
Oh my, yeah, I know, right?
Okay, how is everyone doing? Okay, hi Boji, hello Daniel, hi Lashe, hi Chidex. Thank you
Hi.
guys for joining.
Yeah, more people are joining. That's great.
Great, great. We're excited.
Yeah.
How was your week? How was your week?
Oh,
While we
mine
wait for people.
mine was busy.
Yeah, busy, busy.
Busy, busy. 9 to 5 is not easy, but we
I
moved.
know. We
And when
move.
you have to and when you have to do stuff on the side, you're like, oh my God, I need to
Mm-hmm.
create content. And
Yeah.
I like post content every 2 weeks on my blog. So
Hmm.
this was the week I had to do that. I'm just like, oh my God. I had client meeting. I'm just like, oh my God, this is a
Yeah,
lot of
back to
work.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is the COVID impact? I hope it's still, it's not.
Well, I'm enjoying working from home. I can't
Yeah.
complain. But
Yeah.
I think aside that, like I think here in Nova Scotia, everything is going okay, except like obviously social distancing, wearing masks,
Mm-hmm.
use capacity in most places. That's about it. But every else seems normal to me.
Yeah. I think
How's
right
that
now we're sorry?
in Ontario? How is that like for you guys?
Well, right now we're not really, we're just making do. Now we can't go out, and now with the Trudeau's announcements that everyone will have to do, like you basically should not be traveling.
Hmm, hmm.
You have to, if you're just coming back, then you might be incurring some hotel expenses from
Yeah.
COVID. So that is just, I don't know. But it's okay. Now I'm just used to it because it's been almost a year now since
Yeah,
we've been locked
exactly.
down.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking
So,
about this the other day. I was at the bus stop and I just like, oh my God, I can't believe it's been a year. Like normally you see students around and everyone's
mm-hmm.
busy, but it's just kind of quiet. It's not bad
Yeah.
quiet, but you're just like it's just unusual and it's been a year.
Mm-hmm.
And we could keep going on and on. I think we should start
Yeah.
the line.
All right. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone is doing great. So, my name is Simi. I'm a licensed immigration consultant here in Toronto, Canada. And we do admission, study, visa, visiting visa, peer application, settlement assistance as well. We do everything immigration basically. So, that's what we do. And with me, I have Unravel with Tolu. Tolu, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Tolu and I go by Unravel with Tolu. I think I just like that. And I think people be wondering why Unravel with Tolu. I think it was just basically like I realized it's just basically figuring things out. Like when you're unraveling,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a
Unravel
puzzle.
things.
Yeah, so it's like a puzzle and I found like immigration was a puzzle for me to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where the name comes from. I'm a study abroad and living abroad blogger. I blog about living in Canada. I also lived in the UK, so I blog about some of those experiences as well. And
Mm-hmm.
now I post a lot of content majorly for Canada, immigration for students and all that kind of stuff. I'm still passionate about studying abroad in general, whether it's US,
Mm-hmm.
Australia, wherever it is. I'm still passionate about that. But I think more people are interested in Canada. So I guess that
Yeah.
content is tailored to Canada for now.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, so thank you, Tolu, for the introduction. So, what we're going to be talking about today is, as the topic says, relocating as a student, right? So, what it means to be an international student in Canada and in the UK. So, we do also admissions and study process for the UK as well. So, we're not only limited to Canada. So, the
Mm-hmm.
reason why we had talked about, bringing talking about this topic here on live is because of now a lot of people are looking to migrate, and there's different pathways for immigration, right? There is the study, there is the immigration permanent residence, and not everyone would have the experience required to immigrate as a permanent resident. So the other alternative is to come as a student, provided you have the funds for it, right? In terms of what you need to show, like the funds, how you can acquire, we'll talk about that later on. But right now, we just want to also give, for those that are looking to migrate as students, those that are in the process, those that are already here in Canada or in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just for you. So you have an idea of what you're supposed to be doing. What are the immigration requirements when you migrate to Canada or the UK? What do you
Yeah.
have to be cognizant of, right? Those
Mm-hmm.
are the things that we want to touch upon, because we do a lot of times when you come as students, um, sometimes, because I came in here over 10 years ago now as a student, and
Wow.
sometimes they gave me, I knew, the only thing I knew was that somebody had done my admission and my visa was approved, and hey, I'm
Yeah.
moving to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And for God knows, like I didn't even know what it meant to have a study permit. I was oblivious to what's that. I knew that okay, I have a visa to
Yeah.
study, but that was all about it. Like I didn't know anything. And one of the things that I found out, having been in this profession for over 5 years now, I realized that a lot of people, when they come into Canada, first of all, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what the study permits, what the conditions of their study permits are,
Mm-hmm.
what they're allowed to do or not allowed to do. And it's enough to say, okay, you've migrated to Canada, but the goal shouldn't end there, right? The
Yeah.
goal is to stay permanent, because hey, you're an international student, you're spending a lot of money
Money. Yeah.
to study. So you better get what you're coming here for, not just to study and give the money out.
Yeah.
You need to
But do well in school.
do well in school. Let them give you back something, and the only thing that
Yeah.
they can give you back is your PR,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because after struggling and investing in the economy, it would be a bummer for you to have to go back, except you want to do
Want
that.
to
But
go
even
back.
if you want to do that, I would still suggest at least have the PR, then you can
Yeah.
decide what you want to do, right? So this is why I've also brought Unravel with Tolu to talk to us about her own experience as well. What did it mean for her to travel? You went to the UK to do your undergrad, right? So maybe we'll
Yeah.
start talking about what exactly. So let's talk about your undergrad first. Where did you study in for your undergraduate degree, and how was that like for you?
Okay, so I studied at the University of Essex in Colchester. I
Hmm.
studied computer science. So that experience was it was a good 3 years being in England. I didn't have any idea what it means to school in England or even I'd never been to England prior to that. And I just knew it was my parents' dream for me to study abroad regardless. So me, I was just going with the flow. So when the idea came, I was like, oh yeah, like we'll just sort everything out. I think it was when after I'd finished like secondary school, my parents realized, oh, you're supposed to enroll for either A levels or university foundation program. Those are the pathways to go to the UK. And a lot of people actually go to the UK to study, go into university foundation programs, but I did mine in Nigeria. I think my
Right.
parents found that it was cheaper. Like you pay way more money if you had to do it in
Hmm.
England. So
Hmm.
I did mine in Nigeria, so which was great. My parents are actually looking into me going into the US, but the admission was just taking time. We weren't sure if we used the right person and all that stuff. So that came with its own challenges. And I think eventually my parents were just like, okay, let's just try the UK. And that's how that happened. And
So,
interestingly,
sorry,
okay, go.
just to interject, how long, just so that people understand, in terms of the admission, how long did it take you, if you knew? Because I guess you were younger then, maybe your
Yeah,
parents
well,
did that. So,
yeah.
do you know how long the admission
Pro-
took?
So that would be like just getting the university to say
Hmm.
yes. I think it didn't, I don't think it took up to 2 months, like the whole process.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm going to backtrack a bit just to say something to potential international students who wants to study, whether UK or Canada, is go for study abroad fairs. So the
Hmm.
first ever admission I ever got to the UK was not even in the University of Essex. It was I can't remember the school, University of Leeds.
Hmm.
So I think I went for a career fair, and you know how they send their international reps. Those are people that will
Yes.
probably be in charge of acquiring students.
Hmm.
So there and there, they gave me a conditional admission. They're like, if you can show us this and this and this, then your admission will be like full admission. So I think it was in the process of me trying to do that, then the A level school that was going to get all that documentation, they're like, oh, we can help you as well. Don't go with that school. I didn't like, we didn't know that obviously, like, agency gets commission based on whether you go
Hmm.
to the school or not. I
Hmm.
didn't know that. So I was like, okay, since this man knew I was going to school, then it probably has my best interest. Well,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, eventually, I think I changed my mind about the school. I didn't go with the University of Leeds option. I ended up going to Essex. But
So
I
let
think
me
when I go
Sorry, let
ahead.
me just point out for I it's very important that when you're talking about not knowing, like you didn't know some certain things about the admission and whatnot, right? Like it's very important that you as a student, right? We as agents or representative, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, like some agents would want you. I've heard of stories where an agent told one of her students that I think it was University of Waterloo. Were you the one telling me? I'm not sure if it was you or
It
somebody
wasn't.
else. And then apparently the admission for, oh, okay, I remember it was in you. Yeah. And the agent told the student that University of Waterloo does not accept Nigerian students.
How will you say that?
Like it's so ridiculous. Like, what do you mean? And the person actually took her word for it. I'm guessing the reason why she had done that was because she wanted this person
uh,
to go to,
the school she's
to the
affiliated
school that she's partnering up with. And one thing that I try to do, even despite the fact that we work with some partner schools, we do
with.
not limit just admissions with that, because at the end of the day, we want the best interest of our students, right?
Yeah,
If we have to, and one thing that I like to keep in mind is that when you're looking at admissions of schools, try to look at schools that would give you PR. Like
yeah.
not schools, I mean provinces.
Provinces, yeah.
That will be easier for you to acquire your permanent residency, right? Because a lot some those there are provinces like that. So it's better for you to know. And if you don't, you need to know what you're going to study, Don't
Yeah.
just take the word for it and say, oh, I just want a program that is related to my health. Look at the job opportunities, the
Yeah.
career path, right?
Mhm.
Work with, know the admission that you're actually, a few days ago, I had someone also bring to me like a letter of admission that she had gotten, and that she was
Mhm.
going to work with the study visa. She wanted to retain us. And
Yeah.
you won't believe that this person had no idea that the admission start date had passed.
How would you read that and know that your admission
Because
start
the
date?
agent had told her that the admission, say for example, the admission was for January 2021. Meanwhile, it was for September 2020,
Oh
2020.
my God. Well, you should read that. So I think that's like the basics.
Yeah, but
You have
it's
to
just
read.
you have to, yeah. So work with, if you have to be calling your agents and you're paying the money, make sure they're doing what you want. Don't be too shy or too ashamed to know the kind of admission that they're trying to procure for you,
Yeah.
right? So that's just to go to your point, like, sometimes agents, we're working with partners, but it doesn't mean that we still, I mean, for me, example, I would still look at other schools for you,
Yeah.
because that's what, I don't care whether or not I'm getting commission. You're still paying me for my services anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like just as you just said that, it also brought back memories when I was considering Canada as well. Like for me, I found that Canada didn't have a lot of options for like if you wanted to do like computer science, it's mostly masters in computer science. They didn't have like a variety of maybe information technology
Mm.
and different things like that. And I remember reaching out to this agency and they were like, "Oh, just do masters of computer science." I'm like, "I don't want to do masters of computer." She tried to convince me so much. She was like, "Oh, they have schools here, there, here," and I'm just like, "No!" Like I was so adamant. I was like, "No," and I ended up getting my admission at Dow by myself. I was like, "I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do
Right.
it by myself." And
Mm-hmm.
I think when she knew that this girl is relentless, like she's going to do it by herself, whether they help me or not, she knew that okay, this one knows what she's doing. I think the
Right.
only alternative she tried to provide for me was to try and get me an admission in the US if I didn't get the admission to the school I wanted in Canada. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think students have to be able to stand up for yourself. I think when you're younger, your parents are way more involved and you
Yeah.
feel like you don't have a lot of say. So I think like for undergrads, that can be a challenge. But I
Mm-hmm.
think when you I think the older you get and you become level-headed with your parents, they'll be able to understand where you're coming from and okay, this one wants to be involved. She knows what she wants to do and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think
Oh.
I'll just backtrack to my UK. So I think yeah, getting the admission itself was like 2 months
Mm-hmm.
ish. And I think the major thing was getting the money to wait in the account for like 28 working days. That was the long one because
Yeah.
you can't apply right away.
Mm-hmm. You have
So
to wait.
yeah, we are just wait, and the money had to sit. I think Canada's one is different because you can still
It's
be moving
different. Yeah.
around and stuff. In the UK, if your tuition is like £12,000
You have
plus
to, yeah.
10,000 or 9,000 ish, you put that and it has to be there for 28 days. No
28
such
days, guys.
yeah,
28
yes,
days. You have to set up the account, the tuition funds, whatever
yeah.
amount you need to show that, and leave it in the account for
So
28 days.
you can't touch it, you can't move it. It happened
Yeah.
to my friend. The mom was desperate and needed the money for business, and
Mm-hmm.
she took it out, and she didn't get the admission. Like she
Yeah.
didn't get the visa because they were like, "You moved the money,
You move it.
you can't get it." Yeah.
Because the moment you move it, you have to start again. You have to start
Yes.
counting from if
Oh
it,
my God, that was a big
yeah.
one. No, I
Yeah, so
remember
that's
mine.
one difference with
Yeah.
UK and Canada, right?
Yeah. I remember mine. Thankfully, like my parents didn't move the money, but I still won't give it excess, like some days over the
Mm-hmm.
28 days, just to make sure that it's not starting from the exact 28
Yeah.
days. You know how the bank statement will say opening and closing. You
Mm-hmm.
don't want that to really show. So yeah. So those are like that's what I really remember. And I think once I applied, and in the UK you don't like they don't tell you if your admission was denied or accepted. You just
Mm-hmm.
open your passport to find if there's
Yeah.
if there is a visa on it. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
was mine. And I remember my mom sitting with me in the car when I got there. She was like, open it, let's see. And yeah, we just said, okay, well, yes, we're going to the UK. So yeah, it was a good experience overall. But yeah, that really opened my eye. The whole process of coming to it just really opened my eye in a different way.
Right. So just so we talked about, so in terms of the UK, right, there's also like conditions. So where you get to the, okay, I think one thing is that when they give you like your BRP, right, which is your biometrics resident permit, I think they call it now.
Mm-hmm.
So basically that's like your permit that allows you, it's like your um your visa here, almost like your re-entry visa for Canada, right? So you have that, it's your re-entry visa and your study permits, right? But for the
Mhm.
BRP, right, it allows you to be, you have to go in, whether you're going into the school to pick up your BRP. So the moment you apply for the visa, they send you you pick the postal address of where they need to send your BRP to. So once you do that, then you have to pick it up within a number of months. It could be for like
Mhm.
90 days there, but you have 90 days to pick up the BRP. So obviously with now COVID, there might be some leeway that they're given, right? But
Yeah.
technically speaking, you just have 90 days to pick up that BRP. So even if you're not planning on going to school, say for example, your school is online, right?
Yeah.
You still have to do that. You still have to pick up that, go to the UK, pick up your BRP, and then you can come back and do whatever
Wow.
it is. So it's very important that you know
Yeah.
that. And then once you do that, there are also conditions, right?
Mhm.
Let's talk about the conditions that they have with the
Mhm.
visas, right? In terms of work, were you working while you were in school during your undergrad?
Um, Not really. Like I say not really because like my parents were like, you're going to study and no working.
No.
Like it's the typical Nigerian parents mentality where
Yeah.
they're like, oh, you're going to come doing odd jobs. So my dad already knew all about that. He's like, I don't want my daughter doing that kind of job and all that. So I think like towards my third year, I think I was
Hmm.
in England for like part of the summer. And I was like, I can't just stay at home and not do anything. Like
Right.
everyone, like most of your friends that you probably know, either they've gone back home or gone back to Nigeria or wherever they are. You guys can't see as much because you're not in school. So I had to like get
Hmm.
something to do. So I think I eventually found like a waitress kind of job. It wasn't even hard to get. I was even surprised. Like all you had to do was just show that you can do the job, and they just give you like test runs of what you're supposed to be doing, and that
Mm.
was really it. And I got the job, and I started working. I think I did that for like maybe over a month. Then went back to Nigeria for summer. Then came back. I didn't
Hmm.
try to work too much in school because I was living in Essex, and most of their shift was always outside, either outside
Hmm.
London or in London.
Hmm.
So I didn't really used to work that much. But yeah, I knew about the 20 hours per week and I was cautious about it
Yeah.
because at least on your visa, I would say 20 hours per week.
Hmm.
So it
So
was
you,
pretty.
yeah, so you do have the opportunity to work 20 hours if you want. But one thing, I mean, maybe I think back in the while you were doing your undergrad, you were probably like younger, and anyways, you just want to have fun and
Yeah.
but knowing what you know now, like what would you like tell people like, hey, what do you have to do? Because I know sometimes, I mean, you don't know where to work, but sometimes those experiences they actually like help you
Yeah.
in the long run. And I think you also said something about that when you moved to Canada, right?
Yeah. So like when I was coming to Canada, I was like, I'm coming for a whole new different experience. I'd experienced certain things like I lived on campus all through my undergrad. I never moved out of campus because it was
Mm-hmm.
like a proper campus style where everything is in one place. So I was like, when I'm coming to Canada, I'm going to stay off campus. I've never had that experience of living off campus. I already had like a bit of things in my head I would be challenging, but when I got my Canadian visa to come to Canada, I started looking for a place, and luckily, I found a place before coming to Canada. I don't even. I gave the landlord my money, and I'm happy that it wasn't a bad experience. And I was in like one of the ways I tried to see if it was close to school was just looking at Google Map, typing the address of the house, and see where school was, how close it is. So those are things I did. I think another thing was like, I came with the mindset of I wanted to work part time. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I've never experienced that before. Let me see what it's like. My parents were not too keen about it, but they're like, oh, well, she's older. She can make
Mm-hmm.
decisions by herself. So,
Right.
yeah, so they didn't really fret. They're like, as long as it doesn't affect school. And
Exactly.
yeah, I think for my first part time job, I worked in the mall. And that was
Mm.
like my first. I was like, "Oh my god!" So this is what it's like to work in the mall. It
Exactly.
was, it was like, "Oh my god!" But it was a good experience while like I was there. Like even though like it's all the seasonal jobs that I started off
Mm-hmm.
with, and they ended up keeping me on to work for
Mm-hmm.
them like long term. So which was great. I
I
think yeah, I
think.
knew that if I wanted them to keep me longer, I had to show myself. So I was putting in more effort. Like when they say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, do you want to pick up shifts?" I'll volunteer myself, and I think they knew like I was so good. So they always put me on the cash register and they knew that I was like always going at it. So
Right.
it's also good to talk to people as well. Like those are the people that decide who would stay. So like if you're doing a job and you're not interacting with people, you have to interact because those are the people that will decide. I remember there was this girl that joined like working with us, and I think people felt she was like just that demeanor was a bit bossy,
Mm-hmm.
and she was a nice person to me. I always spoke with her and we just always had laughs. But when they didn't retain her, I knew that obviously everyone said something about her that wasn't nice. Everyone just felt a bit intimidated by her. So those are the kind of things that won't make you get a job, even or let them retain you. So like making friends with people, being as bubbly as you can. People might call it fake, but you have to do what
But
you have to do.
yes, you have to do what you have to do. Because the thing about it is that when you're in school, and I spoke to a couple of people, like international students, about like the things that they wish they had known and whatnot, right? And
Mm-hmm.
one of the common thread was like, I wish I had worked during my undergrad or my whatever it is, the time that I
Yeah.
was in school, because especially when you're doing undergrad, right? By the time you're coming out, if you're not working, chances are you don't have anything to put on your resume,
Yeah.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
but if you had that, even it doesn't even have to be paid.
Yeah.
Right, it could be like volunteer services, like build up like that, like you said, also the network, build it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you just never know what will be relevant to you. Because by the time you're done school, 4 years, you realize that you don't have anything to put on
Anything.
your resume, and
Yeah.
that just makes finding already people that have experiences and whatnot. They already find it difficult to get a job. Not to talk
Yeah,
of someone
exactly.
who
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to put on their resume. So as much as it's fun, you want to go to summer, you want to go to summer holidays and whatnot. If you can sit in your country that they've sent you abroad to, sit there, find a volunteer job, find an
Yeah.
internship, find
Mm-hmm.
something that can help you in the long term,
Yeah.
right? Don't just, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that. So while I was in Essex, so they had this thing to encourage people to volunteer. I think they knew it was a way like to get certain employability skills. So it was
Mm-hmm.
called like Big XX Awards. You're supposed to volunteer 50 hours for the whole session. And I
Mm.
did that as well. So now that I have my transcripts, you can see that on my transcript that says, oh, she got this award while in school because she
Mm-hmm.
volunteered 50 hours. So I could put all those skills. Oh, I did this, I did that.
Right.
And the good thing about like the old volunteering thing was that you didn't have to volunteer like only let's say you're volunteering with a food bank, for instance. You had to do two different kinds of volunteering experience. So it's not just limited to just maybe food bank. So it could be food bank and maybe helping homeless people, or like I remember doing this thing. It was after Christmas where we had to pick up trees that people had abandoned after Christmas. And initially I was like, oh my god, this is a lot of work. But it ended up being fun because we're driving around in trucks and putting like old Christmas trees in the truck. So it was
Mm-hmm.
nice, it was fun networking with people, and just like there were places in Texas I'd never been to, and
Mm-hmm.
that was an opportunity to drive around the city.
Yeah. And one thing that is also important is that, like, when you're being an international student, as much as it's fun to hang around your fellow Nigerians, your comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
please diversify your
Yeah,
network.
I
Like,
agree.
there's no point, like, you coming abroad all the way only for you to still be in the same country that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes no sense. The whole point of you getting international education is not just for the education, it's
I
also the experience, increase your network, because you just never know, right?
Yeah,
Understand the culture, the other people's culture, because that would also broaden your mental capacity, right? It would also broaden your knowledge about things, the world, that but besides where you're coming from, right?
I
So it's
agree.
always good to like make friends outside of just the normal from your country
Everyday,
of
yeah.
citizenship,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I can touch a bit on that. Like when I was in England, I felt like I only had Nigerian friends, and
Mm-hmm.
they were not Nigerian friends. They were like British Nigerians. Like,
Mm.
but when I came to Canada, I was like, I need to increase my like speak to people from other country, and I'm happy
Yeah.
now. I have friends from different countries. Like I always make jokes and say I don't have any friend from Australia. That's probably the only country I've probably not found someone yet.
Mm.
But I think I have a coworker who is from New Zealand, but I'm still yet to
Mm-hmm.
find someone from Australia. Like it's so nice. You learn a lot. You even realize like even with other African people, you realize that you have so much in common. And
Exactly.
I just be like, oh my god, like that's so African or that's so Nigerian. Now you get to
Yeah.
meet people like from the US, I think there was someone I was working with. He moved from the US to Canada, and I was just like, wow, even people are from the US are coming to study in Canada as an international student. And he was able to tell me the reason why he made that decision. So he also enlightens you.
It enlightens
You have to be
you.
not more knowledgeable
Mm-hmm.
overall. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's always very, don't just restrict yourself, right, to just your people,
Hmm.
right? Get out there, make some new friends because you just in the long run it might actually be of benefit to you, right? Because when you're
Yeah.
looking for future partnership and whatnot, you realize that hey, I know this person that is probably good in this thing as well. And you
Yeah.
have like diverse and being in Canada, Canada is actually like is known for the multiculturalism and
Yeah.
diversity, right?
Yeah.
So tap into that if you can learn an additional language, one thing I wish I did was to learn an additional language. If I could go back in time, I'd probably learn French because yet again, that makes if you can speak French already, you're going to be made. If you were
I
to, you're going to be made because there are a lot of jobs that for bilinguals and it pays a lot.
hmm
It pays a lot for in the future, right? In terms of finances and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um,
I was going to touch on like speaking French, even though like
Mm,
I don't think I put in any effort to learning French. I feel like I understand French when it's spoken more than me saying it. But I know like some provinces provide I don't know what they call them, but like you can learn French with the province. So like it'll be
mm,
probably at a cheaper rate to learn French
right.
compared to
Hmm.
like you paying out of pocket to go to a French school to learn. So I think that's a good option for students who want to learn French.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk about the study visa process first. So one of the things that they require you, obviously, once you get your admission, right,
Mm-hmm.
obviously the next step is the study visa. The admission is one thing. The second thing is, the visa, because that's the only way you can actually go and study in that country. So we
Yeah.
talked about the hours. So for the study permit, right, or the study visa, you
Mm-hmm.
do have an opportunity to work 20 hours, right? Both
Yeah.
in Canada and in the
In the
UK,
UK.
right? You have that opportunity. Having said that, I would say that don't just rely on that in terms of if you have to, prove that you have enough sufficient funds to support yourself. Don't I would say I would like to discourage just having that funds for one semester because it's not easy to have funds for one semester and then you say that okay because I can work I would
Yeah.
combine it. It's not as easy as you think
Yeah.
to
Working is not easy.
working and going to school, especially with the limitations, right? You can
Mhm.
work 20 hours, but if you can, even if you don't have the funds, at least get the funds for 1 year because
Yeah.
then you can acquire more funds for the next year. Or
Yes.
and because when you're in school, you can only work 20 hours. When you're off school, which is summertime, you can work full time, right?
Yeah.
So
I think
sorry.
just to paint more onto the context you're trying to mention, I'm just going to say something like in Nova Scotia when I first came in here, like I think the minimum wage was like $10.95.
Mhm.
So imagine $10.95
Exactly.
times 20 hours, then you do times 4 weeks.
From
And
yeah,
sometimes like if you're working like in a shift like the mall, you're probably not going to get up to 20 hours. So how are you going to take care of yourself if
right.
you're not even getting that money? Remember, you have to pay
Exactly.
rent.
You have to pay rent. Yeah.
So
So
you
if
really
you
have to have your money before coming. Like people don't think it's possible. They just say, I'm going to work, but even when you're
so
working and you're in school, it's not that easy. Working 20 hours a week and you have school is a lot.
it's a
It,
lot,
it's a
especially when
lot.
you're taking like five, four, seven classes. Like it's
Yeah.
just you need to like plan properly.
Mhm.
Some people are asking, so I'm just gonna talk about the documents that you need for the visa
Mhm.
process. So
Yeah.
usually, and I would differentiate between what's relevant to the UK's application and what's relevant to the Canadian application. Obviously,
Yeah.
you need a valid passport data page. You need
Mhm.
your proof of funds. So for Canada, if you're going to be studying at a college, for example, for about $15,000, you're
Mhm.
required to show that amount plus an additional 10,000 for living expenses, right? So say about 25,000. So
Mhm.
you need to be able to show that funds. While you can also have a sponsor, right? You can have a sponsor to help to boost your financial capability, right?
Yeah.
However, the sponsor might, it's always good, especially it might be restricted to age. If you're like 35 or 40 and you're having a sponsor, it kind of doesn't look good on you because
Yeah.
it's like you're old enough.
Enough.
Why is somebody sponsoring you, right? It kind of just says that you don't really have the financial capability to, pursue this education that you're doing. However, having said that, these are things that if you feel like, depending on your strengths and your weaknesses, these are things that you need to put in your personal statements, right? So make sure that your statement is tailored to you,
Yeah.
right? It's tailored to your circumstances, right?
Yeah.
Don't just do a generic statement, despite the fact that, and again, another thing that you can also put in your statement is when you have, if your GPA is lower than the requirements, you
Yeah.
can also put, and but you have experiences that also match up that would, replace the GPA that the low GPA that you have. You can talk about all of this, the reasons why you've acquired such a low GPA and how your experience would be sufficient enough for this particular program. It could be your master's or your postgraduate. Usually masters are the ones that are
Yeah.
more restricted and the requirements is a bit high. For
Yeah.
masters, you do need a 2-1. So that's like a second
Yeah.
class upper to be
Let's
able
go
to
back.
get into your master's admission, right?
Yeah.
I think Tolu, you're doing your master's right now, right? Or
No,
you
I'm doing
did,
my master's. Yeah, I did
you
my
did.
master's. Yeah.
How was that? How was the admission and how the personal statements and all of that? How did that? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah. So I think when I was writing my personal statement, it came from a passionate place.
Mm,
Like I made them understand like I was interested in basically using technology to transform businesses, that because that was what my program was about. And thankfully, like where I was working in Nigeria, that's what I was doing, basically using that to transform businesses and just people's life in general. So I was able to write from that passionate perspective. And that's why I really just wrote about, really. And I just talked about how I would love to come back home and integrate what I've learned
mm-hmm,
back into the society, because genuinely at some point that's what I think I would love to do. So it's still not like people be like, well, you're still in Canada, you didn't come back. But that was
mm-hmm.
genuinely where I was coming from. I think, yeah, I got like opinions from people like, what should my personal statement look like, could you help me read it? I didn't just go copy somebody else's
Right.
statement. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we did.
Make your personal statement, because that's also what immigration officers look at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it says that what is the intention of this person going to study, incorporate what. So what I like to do is, from our clients, is that I tell you, research the school,
Yeah.
research the program that you're going to. What is the job opportunity in that program? What do
Yeah.
you intend to do? And because immigration are looking at, is this person is this person going to come back? And while immigration allows for dual intent, you need to still justify that, okay, I'm going to study. However, the reason for this education is to, bring it back to my country, right?
Yes.
To use that experience, that international experience, that education, to be able to transform what I am working with. So if you have like a job, for example, um, maybe your employer said that if you do this course you get a higher
You're right.
promotion, and what,
Yeah.
yeah, those kind of things. Those are things that you need to emphasize on. Don't
Mm-hmm.
just do a shabby application. Don't do a shabby letter of intent. Put in the work,
Yeah.
guys. Put
Yeah.
in the work. Put in the work. And I see some people saying that, I can't really emphasize. Some people say that, oh, can you help me with my personal statement? Please, I cannot help you with your personal statement.
I can
I
only
can
read it for you to make sure it's
I can
grammatically correct.
exactly. I can review it, but you're the one that wants to study. Do the work.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating when I say, please help it. I'm sorry. I know you're stressed. I know that you want the best input. The only thing that you can do for yourself is to do the work. We
Yeah.
will review it. Any agent that is really saying that will draft a personal statement for you, will do all of that, they're really setting you up to fail, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even though your visa gets approved, to be honest, you go there and you even realize
You
that, why am I
yeah,
even doing this?
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like that's just so important. I think just touching on I think you're talking about how like writing your personal statement and all that. There's something that came to my mind also. Like in terms of like ties to home country, I find that a lot of international students, at least from Nigeria, that's where they're getting denied the most, because
Mm,
it's like
mm,
they said they don't have enough ties to their home country. And I wanted to ask you, since you're a regulated
right.
immigration consultant, like what are the ways to prove that you have ties to your home country?
So the ties, okay, first of all, I'll say that sometimes these immigration officers, they do just any and every reasons just to refuse your application,
Just,
which is
I
why
just want to say something. I don't know if you saw the tweet yesterday where they said someone got denied because they were 3 months pregnant. The person hadn't even done medicals. It was just someone that observed her, and I was just like, "This is ridiculous."
it's really ridiculous. It is really ridiculous because, and that's why that you need to put in the effort. Like when you're doing your
Hmm.
application, put in the best application because even the best applications are getting refused. Like that, for example,
Yeah.
is ridiculous. However, like so when you're doing, and one of the you said like the reasons is just it's not just even the tithe, even funds. You might have paid half the tuition and you still get refused and say, oh, why
Yeah.
did you just pay half? Like, so in terms of your sufficient ties, you need to look at do you have employment and all of those things. Are those you can use like employment references and those kind of things that will show that you're taking a leave from work, you're going to come back. If you do
Yeah.
have landed properties, you can also use that as a point as to show your ties. If you have siblings in Nigeria or parents that you're caring for, those are things you need to put. Supporting letters from all those people. You need to be able to provide enough ties to show that this is what that's why I'm going to study because I have a family back home because
Yeah.
and I'm responsible for them. I cannot just leave them. I need to still come back, right? And that if you have an employment still waiting for you, say for example you're taking a study leave, put
Hmm.
that also into the application that hey, I'm also taking a study leave
Study leave.
and from my employment, so I'm still obligated to come back and resume that employment. So those are things that you can use to someone is asking, sorry, so
Yeah,
if
I
you
just
have
noticed as well.
so if you have properties here you can use that to get in. If you have properties here in Canada, that's not in fact, that might even, especially for study, that might even
Study. Yeah.
be a negative for
Yes.
you because they say, oh, then you have ties. This is enough for you to say maybe you're not coming back. Maybe you do
Yeah.
want to live in Canada.
Hmm.
So those are do we include all of these? So those are documentations that you need to provide. Those are documentations that you need to provide, not just in your letter of statement. So you need to
Yeah.
provide all this proof. Um, yeah, and the thing is that I mean, those are generic sufficient ties that you need to provide. However, depending on your personal circumstances, right? That's
Hmm.
how, because what we do is that we provide a list of documents for our clients. So once you're ready to do the study visa, we will then give you a list of documents tailored to your circumstances. Because
Yeah.
again, everyone's situation is different.
It's
Some people
different.
might be married, some people might have a church, some people might like it's just different. So the generic thing is just if you have like a parent that you're caring for, if you have employment, if you have properties, those are things that you need to show that um, these are things that are needed for visa, not for admission. They're not for
Yeah.
school admission, for the visa process. UK, however, let me say this UK, however, does not require this intensive
Yeah.
documentation. They don't need this.
I
The
love
only
that their
thing
process is so straightforward.
is so, in fact, within a month, the moment you get, so the moment for the UK, how it works is when you get your admission, then you have to get your CAS, which
Yeah.
is the certificates of acceptable studies, right? The clearance for that. You need that number to then be able to apply for your
Right.
visa,
Yes.
right? You need that to then be able to apply for your visa. The visa then, however, for you to get the CAS, remember you must be able to show that you have a valid passport, you
Hmm.
have proof of funds for 28 days that
Yeah.
has been in the account for 28 days.
No
UK
touching.
only, no touching, no philandering. Your UK only requires you to show proof of
Proof
funds
of
for
fun.
your tuition,
Yeah.
right? If you already have somewhere you're going to stay, you can just attach an accommodation letter for
Yeah.
that, right? So once you have the proof of fund, if someone is sponsoring you, you also have to provide the sponsor's letter. And what else do they need? Like any passports, any previous passports.
They like you may have.
Yeah, that you need to show that, and that's about it for the UK.
Okay, yeah, like
That's
it's
about
so
it.
like I love them so much because like even as long as you have money, they will
Yeah,
take you.
if you have money, they will take you. Honestly, UK's visa process is just It's quick. It's one of the
Yeah.
sweetest applications I like to do because
I know.
it gives me no stress. It gives
Yeah.
even the clients at peace. This is for UK. We're talking for UK. So so it gives you no stress. You're at peace. The only way you will get refused is, oh, another thing is you do have to, depending on the type of admission you have. So if you're doing a pre-masters or for example, you do have to take the Ielts test,
Yes.
and you need to get at least a 6 in that,
Hmm.
and above to get it. So which is not so, it's not so hard to get.
Hmm.
However, for Canada, you don't. So now they're doing the Nigerian Students
National
Express,
Express.
right?
Hmm.
So how that works is that for you to be able to do that, you need to have like your bank statement again, like a certificate, my bank certificates, right?
Yeah.
Again, you've put the money aside, and this is you've shown that you have enough money
Money.
to support yourself. You have the admission letter. You also have to do the language test. There is no exception to that. You
Yeah.
have to do the language test. Same thing. You have to get at least a 6. You're taking the IELTS Academy, not the general. You're taking the academic version. So that's one thing you should also note. So if you're not willing to do that, and that process is supposed to take about 20 days.
Yeah.
Uh, but if you're not willing to do the IELTS test, then you might as well just go to the normal process. Now the
Yeah.
processing time is about 35 weeks if you're from Nigeria. Yes, so
That's
it's
crazy.
if you have an admission for September, I suggest you start now.
Yeah.
Start now because you want to give
Apply now.
enough time,
Time.
for whatever is going to happen. Apply now.
I think
Uh,
someone was in my DM recently and they said, oh, they haven't applied, but they want to come in September. I'm like, you're joking.
yeah. This person, but there's usually a waiver for schools in Canada. Yes, there is a waiver
Yes.
for schools. However, for the visa process,
Visa.
if
Yeah.
you want to go through the student express, the Nigerian student system, the express path, you
Yeah.
need to take the IELTS, regardless of whether the school has waived that for
Maybe
you,
it or not. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So a second class lower can do his masters in UK.
You can
The
actually.
you can the UK is actually will be better for you if you don't have even if you have a third class. In fact, you can do a
Yes.
pre-masters. You can also do it for like a term, which is
Hmm.
like 3 months, and then go into your masters.
Masters. Yeah.
Honestly, the UK,
UK
they
is sweet. Like it's so easy. Like oh, they have no stress and no worry. As long as you're bringing money into their country, they're
Yes,
good.
as long as you're bringing money, and the way the UK works now is now that you have this now before the what people are worried about is the fact that, oh, after I finish study, how will I work? And now you don't have to worry about that. UK provides postgraduate work permit for at least 2 years.
Yes, yes. That
So
I'm so happy. I'm like, oh my God, why wasn't when I was there that they
I
did
know.
that?
So it's one thing that you have to, if you have the money and you don't want Canadian immigration stress, I
Go
suggest you
to the
head to the
UK. Like
UK.
it's just too
Head,
easy, it's too
yeah.
straightforward. They don't waste time.
They don't waste time. Within a month or two,
Yeah,
you already have it covered. You
yeah.
already have your visa. As long as you can provide funds, you can provide the proof, you can support. Yeah, I can't
Easy.
emphasize it. Easy breezy, no stress.
But yeah, I just think like now everyone is just looking for ways to like move to another country. So you have to think like the long term game. That's like
Exactly.
it
So
is.
one thing I do suggest is that even though if you study in the UK and you're able to get your work experience, there's nothing still stopping you from apply. You can now use that because again, now you now have an additional education that you can
Mhm.
use towards your points. If you do have experience in the UK, now you can use that as well and
Apply for PR.
apply for PR in Canada, right?
Mhm.
That's just something else. In Canada, there's nothing like
The
pre-masters.
masters, yeah.
This is
Did I
you're
go to
actually,
PGD?
yeah, it's either you're doing a PhD and then you go on to your masters. All right.
Hmm.
If your grade is not so good, you can do a PhD. If you're looking at funds as well, you can also look at uh I
How
have
does
the sponsors coming for financial support. I have a sponsor who is in the US. What document would I be needing? Obviously you will need to show like the bank statements, right? So you need to be able to provide documents to show that this person has enough funds.
hmm
Because of my legal restrictions, I can't really provide legal advice on here. So most of the things that we're talking about are just general information basis. So if you want specific opinion or specific advice, you can send us a DM where we can book a consultation with you, right? And
Yeah.
then I'll be able to even know whether you are eligible to even have a sponsor, right? So you can do that. But generally speaking, they need to have like bank statements and whatnot and letter of
Hmm.
support, right? So
Yeah.
I forget what we're talking about now, but
Yeah, same
base
here. But I think we can go on off the thread of sponsor. I think I have a question for you.
okay,
I
go
think
ahead.
now I find that obviously, like with the exchange rates, everything is going to be more expensive for people in Nigeria. And for a lot of people are going away from using maybe their parents or their sibling or their uncle as their sponsor, and they want to use like maybe an external third party who is willing to cater for them. How do they work that whole sponsor thing around? Like, oh, you're going to use someone that is not family related as your sponsor.
It doesn't work. It doesn't really work. It doesn't
I
work.
definitely agree with that.
It
I think
doesn't work.
I get people like that in my DM, and I'm just like, I don't know how to explain this to you. Like, like,
It doesn't work. I'm sorry. Like immigration, they're not stupid.
yeah,
You think about it. How is somebody that is not related to you going to sponsor you?
sponsor you.
You spend $30,000 on you. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
It
it
doesn't
doesn't.
make sense.
Yeah,
So look at if that person wants to sponsor you, it's better they should just transfer the money to your account. And even
yeah.
that, you have to be wary of that because a certain fund deposited into your account is also
Your
going to
account is
raise red
flat.
flags,
Yeah,
right? So you gotta plan. You gotta plan. You gotta plan. You gotta prepare. If you're looking at already, if you're looking at already starting studying in abroad for example, for
yeah,
maybe since last year or something like that, you need to be working towards the financial aspects.
yeah,
What do I need to prove? How much would I need, right?
yeah.
So you need to be looking at that because it's very important. You just don't just say, oh, now that you've gotten the admission. Again, I can say admission is one of the easiest part,
Yes,
right? It's one
it
of the
is.
easiest parts that you need to fulfill. And then the moment you do that, once you do that, then you need to start the study visa because with or without it, if you have an admission,
And
you
no
might still not
visa.
be able to, I know you will not be able to study,
Yes,
right? So as company definitely can serve as your sponsor, but again, we have to like be able to tailor it to
yeah. Why
why,
are they
what's the
sponsoring?
benefit,
Yeah,
right? So again, you can send us an email. We can book a time to discuss more about this, to even look at your situation in general. Like I said, some of these things we just want to limit it to just general information and not specific advice, right?
yeah,
Because sorry guys, I do have a body that regulates what I say and I cannot say, right?
yeah.
So that's that. You're welcome. So you can just send it, book it. So for everyone, if you have like specific questions, you can send us a DM
Mhm.
or book a consultation with us, and we'll be happy to assist you, right?
Yeah.
So you have to look at just somebody randomly or a family friend
No.
for the work. It cannot work.
Except the person that's chosen to legally adopt you, it can't work.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's always good to keep that in mind when you are applying for your visa.
Yeah.
So, so we've talked about admission process.
Yeah.
We've talked about the visa. I think I've mentioned everything that you need for the visa. So
Yes.
for the visa, generally speaking, again, your signal list of schools in UK that you can suggest
You know, I think
for.
we should just move away from the comments and just focus on what we have to say because we're
Okay.
gonna keep going back and forth.
Right, okay. So I keep getting
I
distracted by
know,
the
I
comment.
know, I know, I
So
know.
okay, so basically just you get your passports, your proof of funds.
Hmm.
If you do have someone providing accommodation, you get that as well, the
Yeah.
accommodation letter. You get the your letter of intent as well to
Yes.
study. You need to get that. And basically any supporting documents that you
Document.
feel like
Yeah.
would help your cause, will help you to get the visa that you're looking at.
Yeah. I know you're gonna keep
So
looking at it. It's so distracting.
yeah, okay. So we've talked about we've talked about the Student Express for Canadian visa. We've talked about that. So we're gonna record this. We're gonna save this so you
Yeah,
can go
I'll
back
watch
to
it
watch
back.
it. Just because of time, we don't want to keep going back and forth,
Yeah.
right? So that's about that. And being, I think we also talked about being an international here, students
Mm-hmm.
here briefly, right? So I guess
Yes.
one of the things that we also need to, like I said, make sure, and like Tolu and I we've spoken about, make sure that you're aware of your
The
visa
content.
requirements.
Yeah, it is
Make sure
important.
you're aware, right? And you were going to say something.
No, no, yeah, I was just going to say, like, also know what's in your admission letter. You mentioned earlier how she didn't know that admission was
Yeah,
September and she was thinking it was January.
yeah. So know what you're doing. Research, and research. Like
Mm-hmm.
one thing I also like to point out is that there's no point if you haven't done the research on what you want to do. You're
Yeah.
really not helping anybody. Like
Mhm.
even if you come to a representative and an agent to say, "Hey, I want to study in Canada," have you done your research? What are you looking to
Yeah,
study?
because that's what they'll ask you. Like, do you know what you want to study? What schools are you looking at? Have you found? Because yes, they might help you look for a school, but they need you to have done some groundwork before even going
Yes.
to them.
So because we need to have like and even sometimes when you say you want to study, and do you even have the prerequisite for what you're going into?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right, so that's also one thing you need to look at, right? So please guys, it doesn't help anybody when we have to feed you with all of the information from the groundwork. Like
yeah,
you are the one that wants to school, you're the one that wants to pay the money. Do yourself the favor and just put in the work. That's the
yeah,
least that you can do, right?
yeah,
Put in the work, come in, and then because now we have an edge to how we can assist you,
yeah.
right? We know how we can assist you and what we need to discuss with you about. But if
Mm-hmm.
they're just going to say, hello, I want to immigrate to Canada. Okay.
Hello, what way do you want to immigrate? You're not saying
What do you want to
anything.
do? What do you qualify for? What are you looking at? What funds? What can you afford?
Yes.
Right? So those are things that you need to be looking at. So I said that know the admission, know the visa requirements, know the visa, the conditions, even after you've been given the condition, the permit, know the limitations of your visa. So for
Yeah.
example, like we said, you can only work 20 hours
Yeah.
during school hours. While you're off school session,
You can do
so
40.
summertime, you can do 40. You can
I was just
work
going
till
to
you
touch
drop.
on the requirements. I had a friend, she was an international student, and on her visa it said she couldn't work 20 hours per week.
That's
She had to apply for another permit for her to work 20 hours per week. And I was like, whoa, I've never heard that before. Like it was
That's
just
also,
different.
yes, that's also dependent on the kind of program that you're doing and the kind of school you get into.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these things are very important. Pay attention. Speaking of school now, when you're looking at the schools, know that the schools, there's something called designated learning institutions.
Yeah.
Know the schools, because if you get to a school, and because at the end of the day while you've studied, I think one of the, you also want to work. If you go to
Yeah.
a school that the course you have done or the school doesn't even allow you to be able to apply for postgraduate work
Yeah.
permits, you have to start from beginning.
Yeah.
There's no
I've heard like private schools in Canada, like some people go to private universities and those schools don't give
Mhm.
work permit.
Yeah, there's a list of designated learning institution on
Yeah.
cic.gc.ca. Go on the search box and type in designated learning institution. It will give you a list of institutions that are designated, and it will tell you whether it's PGWP, that's postgraduate work permit,
Mm-hmm.
eligible, right? So look at that as well. If we can't really touch upon everything
Everything.
study because
Yeah.
it's really is vast,
Broad.
right? So just know these key things and make sure. So when you get an admission, make sure just look into that. And obviously, if you're working with a reputable agency or agent, they would know to think about that. Hopefully,
Yes.
they will know to think about those things for you, so that it's not just about getting the admission. Can you get a postgraduate work permit after? If you're looking at a program, also, let me just say this. If you're looking at a program, also try to get a program that is at least, I try to encourage more, at least 1 year.
Yeah.
At least 1 year. I try
I
to
don't
say
even
at least
encourage one
60.
year.
I
I
don't
always
even,
say
yeah,
yeah, I say 16 months. Like
16 months. Thank you. I also say 16 months, but also because of the financial capabilities of some
implications.
people,
Yeah.
right? So if you can afford it, I would say just do 16 months, because by the time you do 6 months, then your work permit can be issued for that, because your work permit will only be issued for the length of time that you've studied for.
Yes.
So if you study for 8 months, your work permit will only be for 8 months. However, what I also say is that if you do, if
Hi, I'm still here. I don't think I can. Okay, I can hear you.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, so so if you're say for example you're studying for 8 months, right? If you do, maybe that's what you can afford, you get the visa and whatnot. If you do feel like you
Hmm.
want to go ahead and pursue your studies again, maybe go to your master's, I suggest do not apply for the postgraduate work permit yet.
Yes.
Go,
Yeah.
you apply for another program, which is maybe another 1 year, and then when you're done, so that cumulatively you can get a 2 year work
2 years.
permit.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Yes, 2 or 3 years work permit. That way you have more time, because it's hard. Securing a job is it's very tough. It's not
Yeah.
so easy, right? So if your work
Yeah.
permit is only 8 months, in fact, if your work permit is only 8 months, there's no
Even
point,
1 year,
because
you're like, can I make it? I know
can I
people who
make
have
it?
had to apply for work permit extension. They were lucky they were able to get that. Not everyone is
Yeah,
lucky to get
not
that.
everyone. It's usually based on some exceptions,
Yeah.
that you can get that.
Hmm.
So that's that. So just guys, be aware, be informed, because information is key. A lot of people have talked about and even when you get here, do not be afraid to ask questions.
Questions. Like
Ask.
the international center is your friend.
Yes, yes, yes. Go there. Even when you're looking for jobs, resume building and whatnot,
Yes.
they're all there to help.
Yes.
So it's not just don't just do feel like you're all alone, you're all by yourself, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's also one of the reasons why I got into this profession, because I felt like being an international student, even though an agency helped me, which they were great and whatnot, right? They just after I finished my first foundation year, which was like grade 12, after I
Yeah.
finished that and I went to university,
Hmm.
I felt like I was by myself, right?
Hmm.
And which is one thing I tried that in our firm we try not to do,
Hmm.
right? So even though we've helped you with your study visa, we've gotten the permit, we still try to keep record of that, so that in
Yeah.
case you're forgetting,
They can
right,
remind you.
we can remind you, right? We can remind you and say that, hey, your study permit is expiring. If you
Hmm.
do need assistance, or if you want to, make sure you renew it, whatever you
Yeah.
need to do,
Hmm.
right? If you're looking at pursuing another studies, go ahead and do that. And the hardest part is getting it, because I do know some people think that the struggle that they went through to get the first study permit is the same that they will go through when you're
No,
renewing.
no.
No,
It's always
no,
easier.
it's always easier, except you are looking at except you have breached the conditions of your study permit.
Yes.
So if for example, so as a oh god, I'm giving us so many information. So if for example you are, I just like to talk about these things because it's like it
It's
goes a
what you're
long
passionate
way.
about, and I can
Yeah,
totally relate to how you feel. Because when we
yeah,
had our chat earlier, like we talked about this, like being an
mm,
international student is not in any way easy. Like
it's
people just
not
think, oh, you're in a new country, you're probably living life and having fun,
exactly.
but you have so much to worry about, adjusting to a new
Mhm.
system, culture shock, and everything.
Keeping up with the rules, the
Yeah,
everything that is available right now, right?
yeah,
And so just to point out, I do want to say that because I'm so excited about the new policy that just came out, right?
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
allows people, if you do have a postgraduate work permit from that expired from January 30th, 2020, and you've remained in Canada up until now, up until January 27, 2021, you can now apply for a postgraduate, a one-time open work permit that can last
yeah.
for 18 months.
Month. That's amazing.
It's amazing. Postgraduate work permit, I don't know if you know, can
Never
except
be
you make
renewed.
it can
Yeah,
never be renewed. It's a one-time thing. So if
yeah,
you do, for even if your permit has expired, even if now you change your status to a visitor, you can still apply.
yeah.
Please, guys. So don't miss out on this opportunity. It's only valid. It's only open from now to
To
July.
July. Yeah.
So tap into this opportunity. One thing I just wanted to say while I was saying about the except you breach the conditions of your study permit,
Yeah.
if you do, there's an amount of time that you can take out, that you can
Cool.
take as absence
Yeah.
from school, and that's only for about 150 days, I believe, for
Mm-hmm.
about 150 days. And even that, it has to be on some circumstances,
Yeah.
right? Maybe financial, maybe somebody died, maybe
Hmm.
you were ill, all of that, and you have to take the permission from the school,
Yeah.
right? So
I
you
want to add to what you just said, and also like a lot of people don't know that if you take only one course in a semester, it counts like you're a part-time
part
student.
time, yes.
So don't take less than one course in one semester. Even though like
Only
you might have 10 courses for the entire program, but do it two, two, two. Don't do one,
mhm.
one, one, one. No.
Don't do one. In fact, if you're like an undergrad, they consider you full time. If you're doing like you can take four or more.
Mm-hmm.
Four or more. So obviously, sometimes the overload might be a lot, but
Yeah.
make sure you're doing four courses at least to consider, because if you do more than less than four or three,
Mm-hmm.
you will be considered as a part-time, and that's not fulfilling the conditions of your study permit.
Yes. Yes.
So it might be difficult for you to renew your study permit and or get your postgraduate work permit when you're done.
Yeah.
So take note of that, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we've touched up on mostly everything. I mean, sometimes we can't talk about everything
Yeah.
as a
Everything.
goal.
Yeah. I don't think we can.
So
We can
so
look through the comment
the
sections and
questions.
answer the questions.
Kofia, yes, we can assist you with admission. You can send us a DM. We'll be happy to help you out.
Yeah.
Does having a UK master's degree give an edge for Canadian PR?
Yes. It
Well,
gives you an
yes,
edge, more points.
yeah, it gives you more points if you do have a master's degree. The only thing that you have to do is to do a West evaluation of your
Yeah.
degree. And if the moment you've done masters, there's no point evaluating your bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
The only thing that you need to evaluate is your masters, because it's a higher. Obviously, the assumption is that you can't do a master's without a bachelor's.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. It does give you an edge. Um,
So
must
what?
my sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I think that's the one you're reading.
Oh, must my sponsor be my relatives? Please help. So we talked about this. It had, for the sake of immigration, I would say yes. Let them be your relatives. If even your relative is already hard to prove that your
Yeah.
auntie is sponsoring you, right? So you need to make sure that what's the benefit? What's the purpose of them sponsor? Is this your relative? Does this person have a company that they are hoping to recruit you in when you're done?
Mm-hmm.
And this education, if you get it, is going to be of benefit to them.
Yeah.
So look at that, right? Uh, so generally speaking, we said having a family friend just sponsoring you,
It's,
eh,
it's,
eh,
it's almost impossible. Let's just say that.
yes, yes. Um, Designated learning institutions.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. So it's a list of institutions that are designated in Canada to obviously provide education and also be able to give you postgraduate work permits.
Yeah.
Do you want to read the next question?
Sure. It says, do I need IELTS for postgraduate in Canada? The answer is to apply for university is no. You ask them to
Mm-hmm.
wait before you say, oh, I speak English. If you have your WIC results, you can show them and say, oh, I speak English. I just proved that, yes, you studied in a country where English is being spoken.
Right.
But when you're
So,
applying for your visa, now that there's something called the Nigerian Student Express, you need your IELTS. I would
mm-hmm.
definitely advise that you do IELTS just for the
Exactly.
long-term benefit of it. Like you get to process your application in 20 days.
In
So
20 days. So just
yeah,
do it, suck it up, and just do that. And
yeah,
the requirement that you need to meet is not so much.
yeah,
So getting an accommodation arrangement before coming is important, and a guide in the city.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and which is why we also incorporated settlement assistance
Mm-hmm.
in the services, because I know obviously, like you said, Tolu, like coming into Canada can be like into UK can be like a new
Challenging.
a
You don't know what
challenge.
to do. Like, are
Exactly.
you supposed to
So,
get a SIN? Are you supposed to get a social
mm-hmm.
insurance number? What
Yeah.
phone line are you supposed to get?
Exactly. So if you go on our website, you also see that the kind of the packages that we have in terms of the settlement services. So it's www dot sometimes I forget how many W's. So it's three W's dot citadel global agency.com. So you can look at the settlement packages that we have on there.
I think you just went
Hello.
out again. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Am I back?
Yes. Yeah, you're
Okay.
back.
So what happens if my sponsor is a family friend? Just
I think
deliciousness. I think we've said it now.
yeah. I think you said that so much.
Yeah. Does gift did work for student visa processing? On what grounds? Why are they gifting you such amount of money? What's the
Mhm.
benefits? Again, it all goes back to being able to prove
True.
what the person is getting out of it. Also, we talked about the Nigerian study process, Express.
Yeah, we
Um,
did.
so you can just go back and watch the,
Yeah, what the live.
yeah. Is 8 million enough for proof of funds? Again, I can't really say. I need to know what kind of program are you going for,
Exactly.
anyways,
Yeah.
right? So we need to know that. Does having a use state, okay, we've already
Yeah, you
answered that.
answered that. List of schools in the UK can. Oh no, come on, guys.
Okay, I think we said you can email us, okay? We might be able to help you there.
hmm
I think that's all the questions, right?
Yeah, I think someone was asking what are the options for funding in form of aids. You didn't specify what country. I know the UK has lots of scholarships. Like they always have tons of scholarships. So I know people who have gone to school in the UK for free, literally. They look after
Yes,
upkeep and all that stuff. I think the
yeah.
only thing I would say is don't go for Nigerian scholarship. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a bad person because I know people who while I was in the UK were on the River State scholarship and they got abandoned like halfway through school. And
Wow.
yeah, and it was a struggle for most of them that were on that scholarship. So I wouldn't advise anyone going for a Nigerian scholarship just to avoid
Yeah, it's
any
just
any kind of
any
any story.
dropping you in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. In Canada, I personally don't think there are a lot of scholarships, but I've heard
They're
so
not,
much. Yeah,
but
I've heard so much about for postgraduate students. If you're doing
for
thesis,
if you're doing, yeah, masters or PhD, then
yeah,
you might be able to
get funding.
get funding for that.
Yeah.
But you need to also be able to build your application so you can.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'll say on that is I know like a lot of schools do bursary aids.
Yes,
So make sure like when you see all those,
but
it might not be a lot at once. Like you might get like $500 here, 1,000
mhm.
here, 1,500 here.
But you have to have already gotten into the school, like you're already
Yes,
in the school, in the
yes,
program, right?
yes.
So for you to be able to apply for those bursaries.
Mm.
So I think on that note, I think we can end it here. What do you
Yeah,
think? I
yeah.
think we have answered most of the questions, guys. If you do have any questions, you can send me an email. You can also email Unravel with Tolu, and then
And
whatever
I'll direct you
advice.
back to her.
What are the chances for a PR? Okay, like I said,
Well, yeah, I don't
you
think we talked
cannot.
about transitioning as a student to PR.
Well, so briefly, what the most important thing is that if you're depending on the situation, so if you already have a foreign work experience, our email address, one of our team members will be able to respond to that for the
Yeah,
email
and
address.
mine is on my bio, so just hit email on my bio, and it will
Yeah,
direct you to email me.
yeah, and you can also do the same thing for us, but we will also post it here for people that
Yeah.
don't know how to navigate this social media. So, so basically, you need to have at least 1 year experience to be able to have your Canadian PR. So
Yeah,
1 year in a qualified profession.
yeah,
So
and you have to know
the
the knock as well. Yeah,
yeah, you have to know the knock. But I think because of time, we may not be able to talk more about the PR process,
yeah,
anyways. But just know that, keep in mind that in order for you to get your PR, you need to show either if you have a foreign work experience, you can use that. If you have it, can but because of this, there's different categories which you can
yeah,
get your PR. You can get it on the FSW, which is Federal Skilled Worker, or Canadian
yeah.
Experience class, or federal skilled trade. So depending on which experience or where you fit into, if you're doing mainly for Canadian experience after you've studied, you need to have 1 year experience in a quantified knock, which is either knock 0A or B.
Yeah,
Uh, and then use that to apply for your PR, right? One thing I need to say is also that for your study permit, you need to look at the expiry date of your study permit. So if
yeah,
you finished school, say in April, your work your even though your study permit is going to expire next year January,
yeah,
you only have 90 days from the moment you finish school
yeah.
to decide whatever it is that you want to do.
hmm
Okay, so don't say that because your stuff is your work permits or your study permit is expiring in January, you're all good. No, you only have 90 days from the moment you have finished your
Yeah.
schools to sort out yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think we should answer. This will
So
be our last question for today.
this okay. What of health insurance for students? What about that?
Okay, do you want me to speak on that?
Yes, you can go ahead and
So
speak on
for
that.
me, like in my school, we had to pay health insurance as part of our tuition.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's how it works mostly here.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I know in the UK, as that when I was there, we didn't have to pay anything for health insurance. Like NHS was free, but I think now you have to
Now
pay
you
for.
have to pay. Yeah.
Yeah, now you
Now
have
you
to.
have to pay. It's included in all of those like tuition,
Yeah.
all of that. So that's that. Okay, so thanks guys for tuning in and for staying through the process. If you do have any questions for us, you can send us an email. We've already provided our email is info@citadelglobalagency.com or citadel.globalagency@gmail.com. Tolu, do you want to say yours?
Yeah. And yeah, my email is unravelwithtolu@gmail.com. You can also find me on www.unravelwithtolu.com. And yeah, you can
Okay.
check our bios and all that. You see all that information there as well. So thank you
Yes.
guys so much for having me, especially Citadel Global. It was nice having this nice
Thank
chat
you for
and taking me
thank
down
you.
memory lane.
Thank you guys. Guys, remember to stay informed. It hurts to see that you spend so much money,
Yeah.
and then you lose your status. Like it's really frustrating. If you
Hmm.
don't know what you're supposed to be doing, what you need to do,
I think reach out to
please,
somebody. At least
yes,
reach out to somebody. We have so many
just speak
guys
up.
on Instagram now that can share
Yes,
information.
speak
They will
up,
direct you to the
please.
right person. Don't let anybody scam you.
Yes, pay attention to what you're
Yes.
being told, to
Yes, and
your
do your own
admission.
research as well. Like, do your
Yes,
own research. Even
please.
if you're using a regulated immigration consultant, whether they are
Mm-hmm.
not regulated, whichever way, even if like someone like me is not even regulated or I just provide
Mm-hmm.
information, verify, make sure I'm not saying rubbish to you.
Right. Yes. At the end of the day, you're paying your money and whatnot. Make sure the information you're getting is accurate. Do yourself the favor and do your own research, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys for
Thank you
tuning in.
guys.
We'll be having another
Bye.
live session, so just stay tuned on our Instagram page and then we'll keep you guys updated. All right.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.